In this presentation, we will discuss the history, the governance structure, commercialization, and finally we will conclude with the current issues facing the sport of rugby today. The official sport of rugby can trace its origins back to a student of the rugby school in England. Although no hard evidence exists, it is said that while playing a recreational game of football in 1823, a student named William Webb Ellis picked up the ball and began to run with it. From there, a new game began to evolve from the foundations of football. At this point in history, the rules of football had not yet been codified. The different public schools and clubs across England all followed their own unique set of rules. These rules range from the strict ban on the use of hands to the extreme version played by the rugby school that allowed the players to run with the ball. In 1845, the rugby school made the first attempt to unite the sport under one set of rules. However, many disagreed with this extreme version of the game. In response, the majority of English football clubs met in 1848 to adopt the rules that more closely resembled the rules of modern-day football. The Cambridge rules, as they came to be known, quickly became the widely accepted version of the sport. However, this was not the end of rugby football. The rugby school, as well as others, refused to accept the Cambridge rules. Many men who had played the game similar to rugby during their time in school preferred these rules and continued the tradition. In 1871, the Rugby Football Union was created. The International Rugby Board was then founded in 1886 with Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. England eventually joined the IRB in 1890 when it became the official governing body of the sport. Although one body finally governed the sport, its struggle for unification was far from over. Around this time, an influx of working-class players began to enter the union. In order to play and still feed their families, these players required some form of compensation for their time. However, the RFU had strict rules against this. As a result, the professionalized Northern Rugby Football Union, later known as the Rugby League, separated from the RFU in 1895. A bitter divide grew between the two leagues over the next 100 years, as the union clubs were forbidden to play the Northern Union clubs. The separation led to the development of different rules and regulations. At the same time, a strict ban on professionalization hindered the development of the sport until 1995, when the Rugby Union Board was forced to allow professionalism due to the growing revenue of the sport. Since then, the Rugby Union has flourished and in turn has placed an increasing amount of pressure on the Rugby League.
The International Rugby Board, comprised of 117 full and associate members, serves as the governing body for the Sport of Rugby-Union. The IRB organizes the Rugby World Cup, the sport's most profitable event, which takes place every 4 years. They are also in charge of releasing the world rankings of men's national team. Currently, New Zealand is the #1 ranked team. England is ranked 5th. The Rugby Football Union acts as the governing body of rugby union within the United Kingdom. There are currently 12 levels of rugby union, each with its own respective leagues and divisions. There are 24 professional teams within the RFU. The 12-team Aviva Premiership is the top level of professional rugby union in England. The Premiership works on a point system to decide team standings in the league through 22 rounds of matches. The Premiership runs on a system of promotion and delegation, with the RFU Championship, the second level of rugby union in England. The team that wins the RFU Championship is promoted to the Premiership, while the last placed team in the Premiership is relegated to the RFU Championship. Comprised of 12 professional teams, the RFU Championship is the second level of pro rugby in England. The league became fully professional in 2009. A playoff is held for the top 8 teams in the league, and the winner is promoted to the Premiership. Level 3 contains the National League 1. This league is comprised of 16 semi-professional teams that can be promoted to the RFU Championship or relegated to leagues in Level 4. Levels 3 through 5 provide mostly amateur competition, while levels 6 through 12 contain regional leagues. Each level is connected through a process of promotion and relegation. The Rugby Football League serves as the governing body of rugby league football in England and is comprised of 4 tiers. The Stobart Super League is the RFL's top-level 14-team professional league in Europe. Following 27 rounds of matches, there is an 8-team playoff. 2 different trophies can be won during the season. The grand finale and the league leader shield is awarded to the team that finishes the regular season in first place. The winner of the Super League plays the winner of the Australasian National Rugby League in what is called the World Club Challenge. The Super League utilizes a system of licensing instead of promotion and relegation. Clubs that play in the second tier's top professional league can apply to compete in the Super League. Admittance into the Super League is based off of play performance, financial and business performance, commercial and marketing, and stadium facilities. Clubs that are given entrance into the Super League are given a 3-year license. Within the Super League, team squads must meet certain criteria throughout the season, such as salary cap and the nationality of players. The Cooperative Championship and the Cooperative Championship 1 make up Tier 2. Together, all teams in both leagues compete in the Champions Cup. Championship and Championship 1 are also linked together through a process of promotion and relegation. Tiers 3 and 4 in the RFL are comprised of amateur leagues and several regional leagues respectively. The RFL works jointly with the British Amateur Rugby League Association to oversee Tiers 3 and 4. England has several teams that compete on the international level of the Rugby Football Union. The England Elite, England's national rugby union team, is comprised of 32 of the best players who compete in the Six Nations Championship, with Scotland, Wales, Ireland, France, and Italy. The English national team is the most successful team in the history of the Six Nations Cup. The England Saxons are England's second men's national rugby union team. The England Sevens represents England in 7-on-7 international rugby competitions internationally. England has an under-18 team, an under-20 team, a women's national team, as well as an under-20 women's national team. The England National Rugby League team represents England in international rugby league competitions. The team competes in the European Nations Cup, the Federations Shield, as well as the Rugby World Cup.
Rugby as a sport is currently in the post-professionalism phase of its development. However, there are economic differences between the rugby union and the rugby league. The RFU's popularity has grown enormously over the last decade, with RFU.com hitting 1 million viewers for the first time in 2011. Because of this increased popularity, the union has flourished economically as well. Its total revenue increased from £112 million in 2010 to £136.3 million in 2011. Although there was major growth in other revenue streams such as ticket revenue, sponsorship, broadcasting, and hospitality, the increased revenue was driven by a match program. However, because of how recently the union became professionalized, it now competes internationally with commercialized sports such as European football and American football. Therefore, broadcasting companies and outside sponsors have not influenced the game to the full level of commercialization. Since the professionalization of the Rugby Football Union, the Rugby League has lost a lot of commercial appeal. With more clubs and a greater depth of players, the Rugby Union attracts more fans and therefore more broadcasting and sponsors. In comparison, in 2010, the Rugby League's revenue only equaled £22.8 million. That was only roughly 1/5 of the Rugby Football Union's revenue of the same year.
Safety. Rugby is a very physical game, so it is not surprising that its play has raised many concerns over safety. The fear for safety of people participating in rugby is a legitimate concern. Injuries to rugby union players have nearly doubled since the game went professional, and injury rates are almost 3 times as high than that of soccer. Some doctors go as far to suggest that rugby's contact element makes it unsuitable for children. In response to this, the RFU proposed making headgear a mandatory equipment to be used during games, but that has been denied. Salaries. Wage bills are rising, which soon should be a cause for concern for professional clubs. As player salaries rise, clubs that cannot compensate these requests will lose high-caliber players to clubs that are financially able to compensate. This will affect competitive balance. Stadium attendance. Average attendance, Premiership Rugby, is similar to League One football. Because of small crowd capacity at their stadiums, stadium investment is vital for attendance. The more money received from attendance will lead to less games being played because they will no longer be needed. Player burnout. During the season, the Aviva Premiership clubs lose up to 23 squad members each. Injuries are at an all-time high. English club players can play up to 71 games in 2 seasons, given league games, playoffs, and internationals. Promotion and relegation. Uncertainty takes away from investment, and investment allows the sport to grow. However, without promotion, the lower division of rugby would more than likely die out. Congested season. With the high injury rate that comes naturally with a sport like rugby, players may decide not to participate in certain events. This not only impacts the players and clubs, but the several other third parties that are involved in these competitions, such as BBC, Sky Sports, among others.
I hope you enjoyed our presentation on the sport of rugby. Hope you learned a lot. See you later.